this is our third series for doing realistic features of the face. We've done the eyes, the nose, and today we're going to do the mouth. Last time I did the nose using just this one 4B pencil, and so just by pressing down, if you remember pressing down either a lot or little, you could get fine, soft lines, or you could get darker, stronger lines. I just had a recent trip to Jerry's Artarama, danger, and I picked up this woodless set of pencils, which they had the hard H's as well, but I went for the HB, 2B, 4B, 6, and 9 because yummy. So basically, the higher the number with the B, the darker you will get. So let's see, for example, my HB, that's like a regular school pencil kind of lead. 2B is a little bit darker. 4B is a little bit darker than that. Did I say 6? And then the 9. So you can see all just the natural gradations in the darkness of those just by doing that. So if I wanted to have had a harder lead, I would have gone for a higher number H pencil. But I love me some soft pencils because that's where you get all your yummy shading. So that's why I bought those. All right, so let's get started on our realistic mouth. I'm gonna start with my HB pencil. This is mixed media paper. Last time I did it on my nose, I did it on a really smooth Bristol paper. And then I thought it would probably I wanted to show you using paper with like a little bit of a tooth in it, which means like it has a little bit of texture in it. So I think for shading, that's actually easier to do. So I'm gonna start with just a line going across the center, and that's gonna be like, keeps us centered while we're doing our mouth, so you're not lopsided. Now mouths, move all the time, so it actually doesn't really matter if this is perfectly symmetrical. Well, it should be symmetrical because our lips are symmetrical, but if one side is up or down, that's actually fine. But for the sake of this argument, we're gonna be perfectly symmetrical. All right, and then I'll do a little line in the middle too, like a cross. I guess that would be a cross, but anyways, blah, blah, blah. Vertical line down the middle. All right, so let's get going on our lip shape. Very lightly, I want you to, we're gonna put like a V shape up here. All right, because that's gonna be the top of our lips. And then at this line down here, we're gonna do like a very shallow swoop. Now, if you want thin lips, this would be narrow like this. If you want thick lips, you could have it ginormous all the way down here. If we want to do somewhere in the middle, let's just do something like that. All right, and these kind of get us started, and we can always adjust those as needed. I'm going to darken the edges a little bit here on either side, and I'm going to have them going slightly up because I want our lips to be not grumpy. Okay, and then we're going to do a I'm going to connect this point with this point over here, and we're going to do a little swoop at the end. Okay, swoop just above where that line is. And again here, just above where that line is over there. So you see that? There's actually a space, or there should be a space, between this line and this edge. And same thing over here. I'm not very exacting, so you have to. But this is, and then this line goes like above it. Okay? And again, this should be darker, and this should be darker. Like that. Okay. The next step I always do is, in like a model's lips, or in some perfect world, there is on the top lip, there's like a little dip right here. So I'm going to do that right in the center. Okay? And then we are going to connect, we're going to go just like on the inside of that line, and we're gonna connect it to this darker line. So I'm gonna do this, and you can make it straight or you can make it curving. You know, lips are like weird, chubby things, so it's okay if you have a little bit of movement going on. Like if your lines aren't rocketed straight, that's probably more realistic. Okay, and then we're gonna go just inside this lower line. And so I'm not connecting these lines. I'm actually gonna come down here and do a line just inside of this line. And this is going to connect up to our points. Okay, so there we have, oh, our ridiculously perfect mouth. And again, these can come down. I mean, this doesn't have much personality, but she's like a supermodel, so obviously she's perfect. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a darker pencil. If you're only working with one pencil, again, I recommend using like a 2 or a 4B so you can get more of a range. So I'm gonna grab my 4B, and I'm just gonna strengthen up this middle line. This is like the darkest, and I'm pushing down a little bit. This is the darkest part of our lip, and I'll probably end up going over that with like my 9B at the very end. Kick that up a little bit. So now we have a little bit more, you know, oomph on that, and I can go over, kind of shore up these with my 4B as well. Because what I'm going to end up doing is blending these out. And so the more graphite you put down, then the more you have to blend later. I'm also going to add up here, okay, we can erase our guidelines. My very official school eraser. We can also add this little lip dippy thing on top. That's like where this natural occurring space. I love how it's always the same as the lip, and then of course the nose will be up here. All right, okay, and then we can kind of start jumping into the shading. So to get started, the areas that are going to be shaded the darkest, and notice I'm using the side of my pencil here, and I'm still using my 4B just to get started. The darkest areas, well, to show greater depth, you always want kind of one side to be darker shaded than another. So I'm going to just lay some around here. So in this case, like, it'll be the left side will be shaded the darkest, just to make it like super realistic. Okay, and so that's called like laying down the graphite. And remember, this line went above that dark crease line. Okay, and already we'll see if we are ready to, how much graphite is down, if we can smear that in or not. So you want to grab like a dirty blending step. You can also just grab like a Q-tip, but the dirtier end, the better. So I'm going to see just by rubbing on the side of this how much I can fill in. And you want the corners to be, there's always like a little, it kind of gets like dirtier towards the end, if you will. That's sort of like a little cheat to make it look smiling too, is to, now this is blending really, really well. It's much easier to blend on paper that has a little bit of tooth to it also. Okay, now if you notice, when I get to this part where it's kind of naked, the lips they look really flat right now. We're gonna fix that eventually, but right now a way to help do this is that these are curved. So when I'm dragging the graphite from the areas that are filled with graphite to like the naked page parts, I want to use sort of like a quote unquote brush stroke and make that look rounder, okay? Because this is like a round. You can think of these as kind of being like little pillows in here, okay? And also here as well. So just having those little guidelines helps to remind me that I'm gonna, when I do my brush strokes, this is all gonna be going in this direction. And if you blend it really well, you won't see those necessarily, but it's a good reminder because we want those, if you can see the brush strokes from my blending stuff, you want them to go in a certain direction that mirrors the natural direction of your lip. Okay, and it's the same thing up top. These will kind of go this way. These are curved lines, okay? They're going this way and then this way around these like 4 balls. All right. And to make, so it's still looking rather flat, so we're gonna fix that again with our shading and our line work. While I have this is real dirty, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of add, I'm just lightly shading these little areas here. To kind of give it like some context. And again under here. So it's, the mouth is sort of part of, you know, something greater. Now there's always a pretty good shadow under the bottom lip because it's the lip, you know, protrudes out and casts a shadow there. So this just kind of gives us a little context around the mouth. It also makes like these darker edges look a little less random. All right, so let's keep going and get this guy looking more three-dimensional. All right, so we need to add a little bit more shading still to differentiate the areas that are between light and dark. So again, we are going to, this time I'm going to use the side of my pencil, and this is my 9B, so I'm going for the big dog here. And I'm going to keep my pencil marks going in the direction of the lines of the mouth this time. And I'm going to add my shading lines this way. Okay, so I'm using the side of my pencil. And if you notice, I'm making all curved lines, okay? And then again, I can have, and then this is the little end. And then I want some more shading at this side. So again, I'm going to use the side of my pencil. And do you see how all my strokes are kind of going in one direction? Okay, and then let's blend that out. So I'm going to take, again, my blending stump. And blending stumps come in different thicknesses, so you can use whichever one you have laying around. I'll just use my big fatty. But if you were doing like a small object, you can just switch to a smaller one. These are very cheap. Okay, but again, I'm keeping my blending in the same direction. Okay. And this kind of goes up in the center. Remember, there's those 2 balls under here. And then these are going to go up and around. And then some kind of, if you notice, I'm doing like the bottom lip first, and then I'm going to go to the top lip. So I'm treating them sort of separately this whole time. Okay. Now the middle is, and this middle part is still kind of a hot mess. So, and I also notice that this, I kind of went outside of the lines there. So you can either grab, they have like, make like pencil tip erasers, or sometimes I just use the back of my mechanical pencils to, you know, erase. If I went outside the line, you can also change the lip shape by erasing. You can really do a lot of art by just, you know, taking away. You don't always have to add things. Sometimes you can use your eraser to take things away and kind of draw into your spaces that way, right? So we're gonna do this, and it makes a nice highlight and kind of defines our lips as well. So I'm just gonna run this over the whole thing. So yeah, if you want to change the shape of your lip, you can carve into it. Now there shouldn't be a lip outline in the dark color, so erasing that fine edge is perfectly fine to do, and then it gives you this cool highlight around your lip and kind of makes them stand out. So it's like a double win, really. And you can even go in and erase, set this off a little bit as well. That makes that stand out a little bit more. All right, so let's go back to our shading. So we really want to define that center crease we're losing. So I'm going to go grab my 9B, and I'm going to put it back by pressing really hard. Ooh, it broke. I'm going to put back that pillowy center. And really accentuate that center line, because that's like the super darkest part. And then there are lines in the lip that are really important to like create that realistic mark. So taking my 9B, I'm gonna actually, and I'm gonna follow along those pillowy lines. We can kind of like put in some darker areas, especially coming up from the bottom. Now we're going to blend a lot of these out, but it's okay if some of these end up sticking in. Especially towards the middle here. I'm just making these loose lines. They look crazy until you blend them out. That's all right. And again, we want this side to be shaded the most. And then right under the lip, it needs to be shaded the darkest. I'm going to use the side of my pencil and just put down a little bit more under here. Okay, so I'm going to take my blending stump. I use like my medium one. I'm just going to smooth out the areas. I can even make these a little bit thicker here. We want that center line to be really black. And again, I'm just smearing these. But see how they kind of stay in as well, which is fine. following curve of that pillow. Making this side darker. It's like really all about the blending stump. So that crease needs to be the darkest. There should be little blend this out. Because then, you know, the chin will be like right here, basically. And then what's cool is you can again, using that eraser to take things away instead of adding things. If you want to add like a highlight, it typically will show up on the bottom lip. You can carve in a highlight with your eraser. And again, I'm going to follow those same patterns. Yeah, this highlight there. You can draw with your eraser, which is really fun. And then if it's too much, you can just take your blending stuff and, you know, kind of fill it in again. So you can really practice popping in all sorts of little accents if you want to. You can make like sometimes like this middle part is accentuated. So you can take your eraser and draw that little lippy detail in the center. If you want to add more, if you want to add back those lip contour, those little lip lines, you can use like a sharp mechanical pencil and add some details that way. This is 0.5. You can add those little lip lines that show up. So using your eraser to help draw, using different leads of different hardnesses. This one's a little bit too pointy, so I really want to, this is my 9B, kind of go in. And again, using the side of your pencil versus your, versus the point will help you again kind of lay down different levels of graphite. Yeah, and you can push and pull and put down more and take it away kind of over and over again. It doesn't have to be like a one and done. You can really kind of play around with this and be like, oh, maybe I have the highlight on the top lip instead of the bottom. What does that look like? So you can stay loose and have fun with it. Go on Pinterest, grab some lips that you like on Pinterest and see if you can recreate what you see there. But the little lines are kind of like a finishing detail, and they add some added depth and interest. Maybe you have a highlight here. There's a lot of graphite, so it's hard to kind of dig into that now. Maybe there's a highlight here. Yeah. And before you know it, you have your pair of bulbous lip smacking lips. Yeah. So play with highlights, play with depth, and just play and experiment. You add those little deep sections on the end and really just practice. Practice is your best friend. Okay. But there's some really great references on Pinterest that you can go and use and learn, and just pay a close attention to those subtle details, like the little lip dippy thing, and where the shadows fall, and where the accents are, and where the lines are, and then you can make lips that are satisfactory to you. Okay, I hope this was a good tutorial. If you liked it, you can give it a thumbs up. That would be awesome, so other people can kind of get notified that there's a tutorial out there that they might enjoy. I do weekly videos. I do mostly mixed media, but I love to draw, so I throw in a lot of extra drawing tutorials as well. If you want to see all of my realistic tutorials, as well as my full-length, like real-time tutorials, I do them monthly, and then I post them to my website at awesomeartschool.com. I have a ton of classes for sale on there, but I have a ton of free resources on there as well. And if you're looking how to draw fun, fabulous faces, then I encourage you to pick up my book series, How to Draw Fun, Fab Faces. I have 3 in the series. I have this one. My second one goes over how to draw the 3/4 portrait and profile. And my third book is How to Draw Fun, Fab Fellas, if you want to draw some awesome guy faces as well. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next week for the new video. Thanks. Bye. Rosie. Rosie. What are you doing? What are you doing? Rosie. Rosie.